everyone, Kolo with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and aloha from beautiful Big Island, Hawaii. Have another amazing episode for you guys today, and the reason for this episode is because I'm going to visit a friend of mine who's actually been quite popular lately. He's actually been written up in the Whole Seed Catalog. Now, the Whole Seed Catalog is basically one of my favorite rare seed catalogs put out by Baker Creek Heirloom Seeds. This is the deluxe model, man. This thing is like the 2015, and it's a 335 page seed catalog, but more than just having seeds in there, they have a lot of informative articles and how they get the seeds, how they secure the seeds, how they source the seeds, how to improve your soil, all this kind of stuff. And my buddy right here is Chris Carter, known as Coconut Chris. He has a nice write-up here. I'll just kind of read you the first paragraph. Seeing Chris Carter climb a tree isn't much different from seeing a monkey do so. Chris has been given the nickname Coconut Chris because of his tree climbing prowess. Chris is a local celebrity on the Big Island of Hawaii, where he maintains a permaculture garden that is truly a wonderland. He has dozens of varieties of rare Hawaiian bananas, some of which he found on hiking experiences, expeditions to remote valleys of the island. There are hundreds of fruits and vegetables growing in Chris's gardens, and people come from near and far to see them. And that's where I am today. I'm at my buddy Coconut Chris's amazing garden. I have been here before, and I'll put a link down below to the video where I couldn't show you his garden, but I did show you a really unique and rare fruit known as the gack fruit. And you know why I'm standing here? I'm standing actually on the property, not looking at his garden, but I'm overlooking the beautiful Pacific Ocean behind me and this beautiful pasture land. And I mean, literally, this is the modeling clay that Coconut Chris had. You know, he had pasture land. Actually, this is probably nicer than when he moved in. You couldn't even walk on it barefoot. This is almost like barefoot walkable. They keep it mowed. It's basically just, you know, grass. And he had to start with a place that looked like this, just barren grass with nothing growing. And he planted a beautiful fruit orchard. So as we kind of walk around, you can see like there's more pasture behind the fence there. He's actually seeding along this fence line the passion fruit or lilikoi. So he just takes fruits and chucks them along the fence. And, you know, his style of gardening is hopefully one day they just actually start to sprout and grow up the road. They have, you know, about 10 acres in all of area that they're growing and playing with and growing edibles. And over on this side, this is the big difference that we're looking at, right? This is Coconut Chris's amazing permaculture wonderland as described by the seed catalog, and today I have the pleasure of sharing it with you guys because I know a lot of you guys can't come here, and Chris unfortunately doesn't really give public tours. You know, he does have woofing farming experiences if you want to come here and actually learn and more importantly work, because you know Chris will make you work whether you come here to visit like I am today or whether you come here to really work and to learn the skills that it takes to build your own world-class permaculture wonderland like he has done here. So anyways, let's go ahead and head in the wonderland and show you guys what's growing on. So now we're going to walk into this wonderland here. Before we even enter, I want to show you guys like along the total edges of the food forest. I mean, he's planted many different things. This is actually one of his most hated plants. It's actually known as the chaya. So the chaya, it makes basically edible leaves that you can eat only once cooked. They are toxic raw. In addition, something I learned today is actually the sap. You know, like we've cut that lettuce, we've got that white sap, and just the other day I had a friend at my house, he cut some lettuce and he just ate the sap. That's something you do not want to do with the chaya. This stuff is very caustic. Actually, you don't even want to get this sap on your skin. It'd be very bad. In addition, the chaya, if you just drop it on the ground, it may actually just root up from cuttings like that. But, you know, so this is an edible food crop, but it's not one of Chris's favorite food crops. And in my opinion, you know, there are many more interesting edible trees that you can eat as leaves, as vegetables that he's growing besides the chai. So, you know, you might want to grow it, but there's other ones that I'd prefer to grow. I mean, aside from that, we got some holy basil. These guys are taller than 6 feet, and here in the tropics where they don't get freezes, unless we get global colding, which I think it's happening the other way, you could grow these guys, the basils, year round. They grow amazing. I mean, all different kinds of things, both, you know, like edible crops, which this is primarily, but there's also plenty of like, you know, landscape and ornamentals mixed in as well. We got the comfrey here, you know, really good to pull nutrients up. And as you guys can see, like, one of the things that Chris is really into is mulching. Now, whether he means mulching with, like, you know, weeds and decayed matter or tree limbs, all that stuff, that's one kind of mulching. But the other kind of mulching is on the other side of the pathway right here. And what you're looking at now is another kind of mulch he likes to do, and this is a living mulch or a living ground cover. And this is one of his favorite plants for the ground cover in his perennial food forest. This is actually the sweet potato vine. So this is actually will just like grow over the grass and eventually choke it out, and it grows above the grass, and it makes the edible sweet potatoes underneath the ground that are edible. And so he really likes this a lot. As you guys can see, it makes a beautiful ground cover, and more than likely this is something that I would use, because not only does it produce food, it also helps you shade the ground, you know, to retain the moisture, you know, for the trees and the things growing above. And that's what he has here. You know, he has like dwarf coconuts. He had some bananas growing here that he's shaved down. He's got some special, unique varieties of papaya. Here's a little small papaya. Like, this is the whole size of the papaya. Some really rare papayas. I mean, Chris gets seeds from all over the world and grows it here on this property on the Big Island. I mean, he has stuff that nobody even grows in the whole United States, and hopefully I'll show you at least one of these guys today. I mean, it's amazing the diversity that's out there, and Coconut Chris really tries to get as much diversity, and in this nice isolated area where he's not getting pollen contamination, there's no major growers around him for miles. He's able to grow some unique strains and keep the genetics pure, because he will only grow certain varieties of certain crops, and he won't even allow, like, you know, seeds from non-GMO papayas grown somewhere else on his property, because he doesn't want to have the contamination. So this is awesome, and I believe everybody should, you know, especially with the GMO crops, be more concerned about growing any kind of GMO contaminated crop and get tested and pure seeds. Absolutely. I mean, we could just walk in here. He's got some amazingly large leaves here and all kinds of edibles. I mean, if I was Chris, I'd be saying, this is this kind of fruit tree, this is this kind of fruit tree, but I'll tell you, this one is a papaya plant, not a tree, because papayas aren't trees. Here's another tree here, and he has pretty close spacing on some of these guys. You know, part of his whole theory is he plants things a lot closer than you normally might, and then if it's not doing well, he might cut it down or, you know, use it for mulch. And that's kind of like having an insurance policy, right? The more trees you plant, you know, the more ones that could mess up, but you're be bound and be sure to have some good ones. This is one of my favorite areas of his garden, actually, right here that we just passed. And these are known as an edible shrub, and if you live anywhere in Hawaii, these are definitely two of the plants that you should definitely grow, absolutely. This is my #1 favorite perennial vegetable for the tropics of all time. It's simply known as the katuk, K-A-T-U-K, or in Florida they spell it K-tac, or they say K-tac. But what it is basically makes these edible leaves. So these are the leaves. I like to just come down and just strip all the leaves off and throw that in a salad bowl, and you could just you know, eat them all. It kind of tastes like you're eating peanut butter. It's so good. Anywhere, anybody that lives in the tropics should definitely be growing some of this stuff. By far, most delicious green I've ever tasted. I guess, let's see, it has these little red flowers, and then they turn in these little seed pods, but normally this is propagated by cuttings. This will not do good where it gets cold, where it freezes, so don't try to grow it unless you're growing it indoors. But if you live in the tropics, one you must grow for sure. Going down, intermixed with the katuk, if we look very closely, here's another one of my favorite perennial leafy greens that actually grow annually that I bring into my greenhouse in the winter. I dig it up and bring it in the greenhouse. This is known as the purple Okinawan spinach. And it's purple because if we look on the back of the leaves here, let me find you a good specimen. Over here, he has a big hedge of these guys. It's nice and purple on the backside. And these are another thing that's really good to grow. It's going to basically just grow as a nice kind of a shrubby, viney hedge. Grow it next to your katuk like he's doing here. Super good, super delicious. And super easy. I mean, literally, you plant the katuk or the Okinawan spinach once, it grows for years and years and years and years and years. Instead of like having to plant lettuce and having to replant it every 60 days, right? If you guys live in the tropics, whether that's Hawaii or Puerto Rico, you want to grow some of the plants that are more, you know, climate acclimated or climatorily acclimated to the tropics, such as these plants that would have normally been grown in the tropics. You don't want to grow plants, in my opinion, that are not acclimated to grow in the tropics because they will be significantly harder to grow. In addition, it'd be my goal to just plant all perennials that I could just plant once and not have to do anything ever again. I mean, this is just one area of Chris's amazing permaculture wonderland. This is all his perennial food for us with, you know, not only edible vegetables, but also plenty of different exotic and rare fruit trees that I have yet to know all the names. That's a pomegranate there, I know that. Oh, and here's another leafy green that you guys definitely want to grow. You know, as you guys know, my channel is called Growing Your Greens. And as much as I love fruits, and I love fruits, don't get me wrong, we've had some amazing heirloom bananas while we've been here. Maybe you'll see some at the end of this video. Vegetables are super important. I want to encourage everybody out there to eat, you know, 2 pounds of leafy greens a day. That's my goal every day, to eat 2 pounds of leafy greens. And in the tropics, it can be difficult to grow vegetables, but not the kinds that I'm showing you guys, the perennial vegetables. This is yet another one. This is actually known as ballet or bele, and this is an edible hibiscus. So it makes these like leaves, and this is a young baby tender leaf. Some of the older leaves get affected by bugs, but even if it has bug leaves, you can still eat them. And you can just literally pick the leaves off this tree. Nice and tender. To me, this tastes better than lettuce. I wish I could grow one of these, you know, in my climate, because once again, this is a tropical. It does not like to get below freezing. And I'd rather have a salad made out of this stuff instead of lettuce. No, and it's easy to grow in the tropics. All right, we're still on the main entryway here. I think we're going to get off the entryway and share with you guys some of the more specific things he's growing that'll do really well for you, as well as share some of his growing practices that you may want to emulate if you have a bunch of space to work with. So now we're in just one of many of the different patches here, or areas at Coconut Chris's Permaculture Wonderland. And there's so many different things growing. There's like the Cuban oregano, which is also used as a ground cover in many areas. Of course, there's a comfrey that's just going over. He'll just pick it up and chop it and drop it. We got a nice little aloe vera here. I mean, there's so much diversity here. Another thing is this palm behind me. It's actually called a lolu, and it's actually endemic to Hawaii, only found here. And this is a rare that Chris has one of these. I mean, he has so many different rare and unique plants that he's growing out, propagating, and sharing the seeds with others to keep the genetic diversity alive. I mean, Chris is a very multifaceted man. I mean, he's saving seeds, he's growing food. I mean, and all this stuff is connected. He's, you know, being able to become, you know, and create a more resilient, you know, Hawaii by teaching others to grow food and teaching interns to come here, and how he's literally made this wonderland. So I got to try some of the fruits off this palm, and it was simply amazing. They're like these little fruits. They're kind of like mini coconuts, but they're not. You know, they're not like, you know, the Chilean wine palm, because that's really like a coconut. These were actually quite delicious and quite unique, but they're not a lot of food, and they're eaten when they're in their very young stage. What I really want to show you in this area, besides just the palm and different papayas he has, is this plant right here, which is really a staple for him to grow in his permaculture system. I mean, he'll just grow these and plant them out, and then he'll basically just cut them down whenever he wants to, and he'll have like literally instant food. And what this is known as a chayote squash vine. He's currently growing 2 different varieties. This is something I grew even in California. The amazing part of the chayote that can be eaten is the edible tips. So this is like the edible tip, the growth tip. You just basically snap it back. You can snap that off, and these can be eaten as like tender baby greens. Quite good. Now, what's normally used on the chayote though is the chayote squash, or the fruit itself. And if we look on the ground, we're gonna find a nice large fruit here. And literally the fruit is the seed. So if you guys look at this, there's like a little opening crack that looks like some kind of other opening crack that you may be familiar with. But there's a like little seed in there, and what happens is this little seed just basically starts to germinate, and you could plant this in the ground or just throw it on the ground. It'll send out like another shoot and also the roots and grow a whole nother chayote squash vine. So what this means is you could go to your local Mexican market and try to get them when they're sprouting. That's the best way. And you could take them home and just plant them and have your very own chayote squash vine. Now, these are tropical creatures or plants, so they will not grow, you know, if you get a hard freeze. But I have grown them, you know, on the side of my house for the full summer season. And if it didn't get too cold in the winter, it might barely make it. But they are frost tender. And there are some more hardier varieties than others. Like I visited gardens in Berkeley and South San Francisco in California, where these guys can grow year round. Now, besides just the big fruit that is normally thought of as something you cook with because it is a squash, something you could also do is eat it raw. And many people do not know this, and it's actually quite delicious. If you've had a hard time growing, you know, something like cucumbers in the tropics, you're going to want to grow the chayote because it grows so much easier than any cucumber, and to me, it's even more delectable. So we're going to go up here and try to find a young little baby chayote and check it out. Here's like a little small one that's like almost too small to harvest. This is getting a bit larger. And here's a nice little small one right here. We're going to break that guy off. And look at that. Nice and cute. This is in its premature stage, and at this point, nice and crunchy, like a cucumber, tad bit sweet, a really similar consistency, kind of like the consistency between like a crunchy cucumber with no seeds and a baby zucchini squash. I mean, these are, I think, my new favorite vegetable to eat. So one of the things I like about Coconut Chris is that he grows really unique and exotic varieties. You know, I've been to so many different farms seeing people grow the same things over and over and over and over again. I think it gets so boring, but when I come here, like I'm learning all kinds of new varieties of different kind of stuff that I actually haven't learned about anywhere else except his place. So this I really love. I love learning and growing, and hopefully you guys do too, and will learn a few things in this video as I am. And actually, this is another one that's fairly new to me, although I was here about a year ago and made a video with Coconut Chris about this. This is actually the gac fruit. So this is a gac fruit vine. This is the female vine, and this is a flower that is very sad. It's a female flower that actually hasn't been pollinated, so it's kind of droopy and it's going to fall off and not produce a fruit. But Chris and I made an amazing video on the gac fruit, and I'll put a link down below, so check that one out if you haven't seen it already. And you know, and I guess I'm gonna venture on and try to find some more unique, rare varieties that he's growing that I haven't found anywhere else. Actually, one of which I learned about earlier is a new variety of jicama that nobody else is growing. And the plant is like way down in the North 40, so I don't know that I'll get to share with you guys that. But maybe at the end of this video, we'll get Chris to share what that is and a little bit more about some of the unique and rare varieties of food crops that he's growing that nobody else is. I mean, I think it's really important. I always want to encourage you guys to diversify. You know, diversify, grow something different. If there's a bug or an infection, a disease on some of your plants, and you're growing all kale and all your kale is affected, poof, there goes your food security. You got nothing to eat, man. But if you're growing different kinds of things that nobody else are growing, right, you're going to be more resilient. You're going to create built-in resilience into your garden. And that's one of the things I love about Chris's garden. I mean, he's got so much more resilience here than literally any place I've ever seen so far in the whole United States. So let's go on and share with you guys some more awesome plants grown here. All right, so this is another crop that I want to share with you guys. I mean, I shared with you guys one of these earlier, but this is another kind of edible hibiscus or Belay, and this is like a red stem one, so this is like much more exotic and really cool looking. If you look, you know, this tree is literally offshooting several places. I mean, this is all one branch where it's offshooting. We got all these different tops coming off, and the cool thing about the Belay is that it's propagated by cuttings. So literally you just you know, break off a cutting, stick it in the ground, and it'll grow a whole new tree. And plus, you know, all these leaves are all edible, and they taste better than salad. There are so many different varieties of the edible Belay hibiscus, and they come in all different leaves, shapes, and varieties. You know, I saw a presentation by John Valenzuela, California Rare Fruit Growers member, and man, there's all kinds of cool varieties that I saw in pictures, and hopefully one day I get to go to a place where I get to taste many of them. This absolutely is one of my most favorite leafy greens, and if you live anywhere in the tropics, you definitely want to be able to grow this stuff, because I mean, it's just quite delicious and edible in its raw natural state. So one of the staple foods in this permaculture food forest is actually the bananas, and Chris has over 100 different banana plants planted in all, and many different unique and rare varieties, including, you know, rare Hawaiian varieties that aren't grown anywhere else. I've had, just earlier today, I had a, I think, Feihi banana that was not just white on the inside, it was like a nice, dark, rich, yellow color with an amazing flavor. And I mean, these are the bananas that we should be growing instead of like the dumb Williams or Cavendish bananas you get at the grocery store, because those have no flavor. They're picked prematurely and then gassed to ripen. Guaranteed, all Chris's bananas that he grows here are never gassed, and they're only harvested when they start to turn ripe. They're cut off the plant and taken and covered so that the bugs can't get them or the rats can't get them, to slowly ripen, and then he gets full flavor out of his bananas. And that's something that can't happen when they're shipping bananas green. In addition, bananas are a very good crop or fruit to grow because they grow relatively fast, and they continue to produce, you know, multiple times a year because he has so many different you know, plantings of them. For example, some fruit trees may produce just once a year, or some maybe even twice a year, but it's rare that a fruit tree will continue to produce year-round. So when designing your own permaculture fruit forest or food forest, definitely have some of these plants like the banana that you'll be able to eat year-round from, when some of your other you know, fruiting trees are not in season. So to some people, Coconut Chris's permaculture wonderland may look like a jumbled mess and almost like a forest. Well, after all, what he's trying to emulate is a food forest, where there's just all kinds of different, you know, fruit trees growing up above, smaller fruit trees growing like down below, like he has many cacao trees. He has vanilla orchid vines, maybe we'll show you in a minute, that are climbing up trees. I mean, he's making really good use of his small amount of real estate here to grow many different things. And even for him, like, even if there's some weeds or some, you know, grasses growing, he basically just use them to his advantage. He'll cut those down and mulch them in, because that is a source of the green manure or fertilizer for his land. He hasn't actually went out and bought any kind of fertilizer at the store. He's built all the fertility on his property from the ground up, you know, with free resources and by growing greens, chopping them and dropping them. One of the best plants to do that with is this guy right here. It's known as the pigeon pea, and this NFT or nitrogen fixing tree. Basically, you just pick them up and then you just drop them on the ground. They break down and return nutrients into the earth. He also has done cover cropping as a method of, you know, building nutrients and putting them back into the soil. So besides the bananas, another tree style crop that he grows a lot of is the papaya. This is also something that fruits year-round. I mean, actually he has some trees that have been producing non-stop for 4 years, year-round, not just like one season. It just produces year-round. The problem with papayas is that, you know, you usually got a lot of like green fruits on the tree, and only the bottom ones ripen up, and they ripen up very slowly. But if you got enough trees, you could always walk around the orchard or your food forest and find one that's ripe, like I did today. And literally, once they're ripe, you just spin them off. And you know, you're just going to let this ripen a little bit more off the tree. It's actually getting kind of soft because if you leave it on the tree too long, there'll be bugs, rats, and other vermin that'll eat your papaya instead of you eating it. So here's one of my favorite edible plants that Chris also loves to grow up fences and to create fences out of maybe a space of his garden where, you know, he wants to overtake something that's growing that may not be desirable. And what this is simply known as the passion fruit or lilikoi. Here are some of the fruits here. And actually here's one of the beautiful flowers. I don't know if you guys could see that there. Oh, right there, look at that. Look at how beautiful that flower is. Oh my God, and it smells heavenly. But yeah, the lilikoi or passion flower, passion fruit, something that's amazing to grow up any kind of hurricane fencing to fill in the fence, but also create an edible, delicious fruit. Hey, be sure to check the link down below where I actually visited passion fruit farm here in the islands to show you guys how I like to use the passion fruits. So Coconut Chris is growing one of my favorite grasses in the entire world. And you're like, John, I don't see no grass. Well, it's not regular grass that I like. It's this stuff. It's sugarcane, and sugarcane is a kind of grass. It's in the grass family. Sugarcane takes a very long time to grow. I've grown this, you know, myself in Las Vegas, but it didn't have the time to fully mature and fully develop the sweetness that it should. But here in Hawaii and other tropical locations where it doesn't freeze, it easily grows and, you know, creates that nice, delicious, sweet, you know, flavor inside the fibers. Last visit actually to Coconut Chris actually did juice his very own sugarcane, and it was completely amazing, especially added in with some lilikoi and some turmeric, I believe. The other thing about the grasses and the sugarcane is that Chris grows many different varieties, including some of the more rare and unique sugarcane varieties. Here's just one here, like a green kind. He has like a red kind here. He also has a kind with like actually a soft stalk that's much better for eating. And in some countries, before they actually had toothbrushes, they would just chew on the sugar cane for all the fiber to clean your teeth. And you know, I know some of you guys are thinking, John, sugar cane must be bad, man, it's just sugar. Well, whole sugar cane is not the same as white refined sugar. That's why it's called white refined sugar. They refine it. Sugar cane in the sugar cane plant itself has a lot of fiber, and you have to literally chew up all that fiber to extract out the delicious sweet goodness. You know, now when you do juice sugar cane, you are getting some sugar in the water that comes out, but you know, once again, nature, every plant filters water, and nature brings up the water into the sugar cane. It creates the sweetness through the photosynthesis, and then we get to enjoy it. And even so, when you juice sugarcane juice, believe it or not, has less sugar than even orange juice. Plus, the grass family of plants absorb up to 90 minerals and put it in to its tissue so that when you eat that plant, you're going to get it into you. And that's one of the reasons why I love the fresh sugarcane juice, not only for the sweetness, you know, and low sugar compared to orange juice, but also the nice shot of the trace minerals that I'm getting directly from the earth. So here's another rare, unusual Solanaceae plant that Christopher's growing. It's actually these guys right here. And I grew these guys actually in California. And, you know, in like the Bay Area or LA area, you know, Southern California, they do quite well. They could handle some light frost, or when it gets too cold, but they don't like it too cold, you know. So it's a tropical, but much more tolerant than many others. This is known as the tree tomato or tamarillo fruit, and actually this is the orange kind. There's also a red kind or deep purple kind that I grew, and these should be optimally really dark color when you harvest them. And even then, the flavor, I mean, it's not sweet and it doesn't really taste like a tomato that you know and love, but it's quite unique. I really like it a lot, and my old gardener says when you scratch the back of the leaves and sniff, kind of smells like hot buttered popcorn. Now, you're not going to want to eat any other part of this plant aside from the fruit itself, because it is in its Solanaceae family and it's not a good thing to eat. But the fruits, they're definitely delicious, and I had bumper crops for a few years until I lost my plants. Actually, I think I still have one plant growing in my greenhouse, but it gets really affected bad with some of the aphids and some scale as well. So that's kind of sad, but glad to see that Christopher's growing it here, and you can too. I think rearseeds.com offer the seeds if you like to try to grow these. I would recommend growing them outside in the summer and then inside in the winter if it gets cold where you live. So you caught me, I'm on my lunch break, and even if you come here for a tour or to work, Chris will put you to work. And what I'm doing today is I'm saving seeds at the same time I'm getting to eat my lunch. So what we got here is some special Jaboticaba fruits. Say that 5 times. Jaboticaba, Jaboticaba, Jaboticaba. It's like Jabba the Hutt. Jaboticaba. And these are actually known as tree grapes, basically. They grow on the stem of the tree. They grow a lot of them. And these are abnormally large Jaboticaba fruits that are quite rare. So what he's having everybody that comes over today, you're going to take the fruit and get to eat it, but don't bite and chew everything. You're going to want to save the seeds. Most important part of the entire fruit, because the seed is inside the fruit, so that you can share the seeds with others or simply spit it into nature and grow a whole new tree so that the tree can reproduce. Quite good. Go ahead. And this is the seed. I can't really show you the seed. The seed is surrounded by a fruit pod. Basically put this in the jar, and he's starting to sprout these guys, and he's going to plant them out as the little seedlings, and then he'll be able to share these with others and grow more of these special, unique, large Jaboticabas on the property. So if you wonder where all those seeds end up that he saves when you come over and spit them out into a jar, they probably end up somewhere like this. This is his little tree seedling nursery, and this is just one of his little shade houses that he has set up to propagate out many of the different trees. And this is another area of the garden that I really value Chris for doing. You know, I mean, he grows these guys out not only for his own use to plant new plants on site, but also share and to offer to the community to get some of these rare and unique varieties out to others. I mean, he's got some really cool dragon fruits, like a blue dragon fruit over there, a purple dragon fruit, and all different kinds of palms, as well as fruit trees. Now I'm going to show you guys how to harvest a papaya when you can't quite reach it. So you're just going to grab a stick and very gently, just going to kind of push it a little bit. Whoa! And then you got to catch it. So you're going to have lightning fast reflexes so you could eat papayas off your own tree. All right, so now we're walking up a big hill and we're checking out other areas of Chris's farm. Now, certain parts of his farm was the perennial food forest, but of course, aside from that, he has many different other areas of his farm where he's growing food, including this section here, which is basically just a banana orchard, lots of banana plants, and in addition, in between the banana plants, because they are so big and shading things out, he's starting tropical exotic fruit trees down below, and when they get bigger, then you'll chop the bananas so that these guys can get more sun. And actually right now we're actually going up the hill on the way to his vegetable garden, which is really cool. It's done like no other that I've seen. And I want to encourage you guys, don't just have a perennial food forest. As cool as perennial food forests are, you might want to also have a separate orchard that may not fit in with your food forest, as well as a special vegetable and herb garden like he does here. The more kinds of different growing systems you could have, the more resiliency you will have in the end, and the more food diversity you will be allowed to grow. So one of the things Chris attempts to do is to maximize the use of his space. Even though he has 10 acres to play with here, he could spread things out, pretty good spacing if he wanted to. He also wants to duplicate and model nature and how nature would work. And in nature, these two plants, the vanilla orchid as well as the dragon fruit, would naturally want to grow up and climb up a tree, whether that's a tree that's alive or a tree that's not alive. In this case, this tree is actually alive. It's known as the ice cream bean tree or Inca bean tree. And this is a quite unique cultivar You know, most ice cream beans kind of just look like a standard bean pod. You know, the ones that he's growing here, quite unique. Check it out. This ice cream bean pod is like 3 feet long. This will do some damage. And you know, it's kind of like you know, conical or circular or whatever. I don't know, whatever that shape is. And what we're gonna do to open this is just we're gonna take it and twist. And when we do that, what we're gonna reveal on the inside very carefully is, oh man, this stuff looks really good. Look at that. Inside here, we're gonna see these little fruit pods or little seeds, and around each seed is this white, fluffy, cotton candy-like material, like that. And this is the stuff we want to eat. Kind of tastes like cotton candy ice cream. A little bit moist. Not a whole lot of flavor, but actually quite sweet, quite delicious. I think this like tubular ice cream bean stuff's one of my new favorites. Now with all the different fruits you eat here, you're gonna save the seeds. So look, this one's actually sprouting. And we're gonna go ahead and distribute out these seeds in just a minute to plant more trees. And this is something I believe everybody should do with all their fruit seeds. So another thing Chris likes to do with seeds and maybe immature fruits or fruits that he's not gonna eat is save the seeds and harvest them and regrow them. And so one of the ways he likes to do this in some instances is just literally take the seeds, and what we got here are some ice cream bean seeds. So the ice cream bean is like a pod that you open up, and then on the inside there's this fluffy white cotton candy-like ice cream containing fruit that's super good, and it's surrounded by a seed. So then what happens is you take the seeds out, and then he wants to replant these. He just takes it and throws it out into the margins. And you know, this is a place where the tractor's not gonna hit that's mowing. And maybe one day these will turn into some ice cream bean trees, which are absolutely delicious. This is just yet another way you can reuse and plant your seeds. I want to encourage all you guys off of fruit, seeds of any kind of fruit, always try to replant your seeds, you know, whenever possible. Obviously, it's the best to do it on your land because it's legal. But, you know, if you were to do it, say, on public property or parks or other lands, you know, that might not be legal, so you might want to check your local laws where you live. All right, so now we're in Chris's vegetable garden, you know, separate from his food forest. He also has a standard vegetable garden, but he's doing it differently than any other vegetable garden I've seen. I mean, his gardening style is unique unto himself, although he uses many permaculture principles and different techniques. You know, everybody's garden is going to reflect them, their personality, and also, you know, what they think is best. And one of the things that's really important to him is water conservation and also minimizing the amount of work he's doing. So one of the ways he's gardening is this way. It's actually just like flood irrigation. What he's done is he's actually dug these like little ditches all along his raised beds. That's really cool. And what he does is basically just waters the ditches, fills them up, and the water just soaks in, and as the water is sitting there, it actually capillates out through the soil and feeds all the plants in the soil. You guys can see this water's been sitting here for, I don't know, maybe an hour or two while I've been making my videos, and it's soaking up into the ground to water the new seedlings that are planted. I think he's got some different kind of greens, including cucumbers and whatnot, in all these beds, and some lettuce. And you can see over there, man, I mean, the water's capillated like a foot up. So that's completely amazing that he's able to save water. And basically all this whole garden is on a gravity setup. So he has to water one spot, and then it goes through different channels and filters through different channels, and it waters everything very simply, easily, and more importantly, efficiently. And I mean, if you go to some foreign countries, this is how they gardened back in the olden days, but we've forgotten all this because now we have drip irrigation tubes and pipes and all this kind of stuff. But Chris likes to kind of live it more like natural, you know, more like without any kind of major inputs. You know, he doesn't use like bagged organic fertilizer. He actually hasn't brought in any nutrients off the farm, you know, from a store. He simply uses, you know, fertility that's created on the property, as well as bring in other local free resources such as manure, which is, you know, how he fertilizes much of his garden here. Now, I want to let you guys know there are all different kind of ways to grow a garden. You could use manure, you could use rock dust, you could actually buy, you know, chemical fertilizers, which I don't recommend, or synthetic fertilizers, which I don't recommend. You could use organic bag fertilizers. There's a whole spectrum, and I would always want to encourage you guys to grow in a more biologic way, you know, in accordance with nature than against it, you know. And, you know, I want to encourage you guys to grow the highest quality food with the most nutrients in there if your budget allows and you can bring in additional inputs. I think it's quite valuable, although I also respect Chris on how he's growing here very successfully without bringing in any products. And that's the conundrum, right? There's no right and wrong. Chris's way is right, John's way where he has to buy stuff is wrong, right? Nobody's right or wrong, right? I want to make it so that any way you want to garden, whether you just want to use the resources you got and do the best you can, great. If you have resources to spend on extra soil nutrients, you can bring those in and have higher quality food based on what I've seen in my experience. That's great too. And I just want to give you guys all these different options, you know, to allow to pick the way that you would like to grow, you know, and what you need based on your specific needs. You know, my needs are to have the highest quality food because I know that the highest quality food that I put in my body is going to mean that I'm going to be a higher quality person and have higher quality nutrition and have a higher quality immune system, you know, to fend off diseases and all this kind of stuff so that I don't get sick. But yeah, definitely what Chris is doing here, amazing, using some of these ancient old school technologies in the modern day. All right, so what you're looking at behind me here is just another area of his garden. He's growing the standard, you know, corn, got some heirloom varieties of corn, he's growing some beans, and he's also got some squash growing below it, and I think also seeded randomly with some chia seeds. And once again, he's using the flood irrigation, which looks like it's working pretty good on the corn, and everything's growing quite well. And, you know, I want to encourage you guys, I mean, Chris is growing non-GMO crops. I want to encourage you guys to grow non-GMO crops and get some good certified seed that you know is non-GMO and more importantly doesn't have any GMO contamination in there. You know, we got to try to keep the seed varieties pure, and we're not going to get that done by leaving it up to big corporations. Each of us have to take a responsibility to grow and save our own seeds out and share it with one another to keep some of this genetic diversity alive. And I mean, that's one of the things Chris really strives to do here is grow a wide variety of like unusual and rare crops that he then can save and pass on the seeds. Like I got some special cool cold weather cucumber / zucchini relative that I never heard before that I'm gonna get to grow out and see how it grows in Las Vegas that, I mean, I've never seen in any seed catalogs. I mean, this is the kind of work that he does here, and this is why it's so important and so valuable. I mean, every time I come here, I learn about new varieties and species of plants that I was not aware of. I get to taste new varieties, species of vegetables as well as fruits, as well as just have a good time. So anyways, let's go ahead and continue on our tour and show you guys a really new and unique crop that I know you guys have never heard of because I hadn't until today either. All right, so this next plant I want to show you guys is, I'm sure there's no other videos on YouTube about this. It's called Sechium tatako, and I don't even know if there's a English word for it, but basically it's a unique curbit family plant that's very similar to the chayote squash. Let me go ahead and bring a vine over for you guys. And this is what it looks like, right? I mean, this is very similar to the chayote, and supposedly it's like potentially more cold tolerant. You could actually harvest the little tips and eat them like chayote squash. In addition, it makes these little funny looking fruits there. And the fruits, before they get these little like bumpy spines on the top, so it's kind of like reminds you similar of achicha that I've grown. You can actually just harvest these little baby fruits, immature ones, and you can just eat these when they're in their raw state. Let's see, man. It kind of tastes a little bit like cucumber, but it has like a little bit of a astringent bite. When they get much more mature than this, you probably will not want to eat them raw. They're normally cooked though. It's quite good, quite delicious. And it's a new one on me. I want to try to maybe experiment with growing this, guys, to check out the cold tolerance of it. Although overall, I think I prefer the chayote squash because this is having like a weird astringent flavor in my mouth happening on. But yeah, nonetheless, it's cool I was able to introduce with you guys, as well as learn myself, a new crop that's edible and that you may be able to grow in the tropics. So now we're looking at the area of the garden that's pretty much a standard garden. Once again, it has all the troughs for the flood irrigation, so all the water has channels and it just kind of moves its way through the garden so that everything gets watered. And he has a variety of different vegetable crops growing in here that may not necessarily work too well in a food forest type system that has more wildish perennial crops. These are more annual crops that, you know, frankly do need to get a little bit more sun to produce nice large leaves and all that kind of stuff. So he's got, you know, standard things such as bok choy and dinosaur kale and lettuce, and he's got some bolting cilantro. But the other cool thing he's done is actually, because, you know, he's gonna use this as a vegetable garden now, but in between he's planting like food crops, so fruiting crops such as bananas and papayas, like every so often, that'll end up growing up and crowding out this space, and then he'll move the vegetable garden to another space. And actually that's what he's done in his own food forest you guys saw earlier, like maybe a year or two ago when I was here. He actually had a vegetable garden that's now been all overgrown and outcompeted with fruit trees, you know, which is the final goal, you know, for Chris there. Now, I always want to encourage you guys to grow in a variety of different ways, you know, so you could have more diversity in your diet. I guess one of the things I want to show you guys is how well Chris's gardening or growing style works. I mean, he's growing all kinds of different crops. I can see some nice huge beets, but I want to go ahead and dig a carrot for you guys to show you guys how big the carrots are, you know, with him using minimal inputs on the land here. So now I want to go ahead and pull a carrot for you guys from his garden, but before I do, I want to share with you guys this plant right here. This is a small papaya plant that's actually growing right amongst his vegetables. That's going to get really tall, and the vegetables are going to stay really small. And this variety of papaya is actually known as an exotica variety of papaya, one of the sweetest varieties that I've tasted. I had one at my friend's place over in Maui that I made a video about. It was a 10-acre permaculture fruit forest that was actually amazing. So Chris is also growing the same kind, one of the more superior varieties that is non-GMO. In addition, he's growing a really cool, this is like split leaf papaya. He's growing like a solid leaf papaya that I've never seen before, that he actually got from Australia. So that'll be really interesting to see that one. But I actually want to just go ahead and pull a carrot for you guys. I mean, really, Chris is not really using any external inputs. He's using all inputs, produced on the farm, as well as some ones that he's gotten for free in the local area. You know, one of the things that he also doesn't like to do that I like to do is he doesn't like the cardboard sheet mulch due to all the paper or the tape and the stickers on the cardboard. So he'll, do manual weeding. And there's always a solution to any style of garden. You guys could choose the style that you want to do. And if you choose this Chris style, this is what happens, man. You get nice, large, luscious, big, huge carrots with very minimal inputs. Now, this is also dependent on your current soil that you have. There's probably really rich soil here in Hawaii. It's all from volcanic base, and it's obviously he's worked it really well, but a lot has to do with the nutrients already in the soil. If you're starting out with a nutrient depleted soil, you're going to have to bring in potentially more inputs than what your land can grow for you there to provide yourself some fertility. So I always want to encourage you guys to be smart as a gardener, because the healthier your crops are, the larger they're going to get, the more bug, pest, and disease resistant they're going to be, and the more nutritious they're going to be for you. And hopefully that's one of the reasons why you're growing the garden, not just for the sheer joy of being out in the garden and picking carrots right out of the garden, being able to eat your own lettuce out of the garden. I mean, everything tastes better when you grew it and pick it yourself by far. That's something that I would agree with, as well as Chris. So the next thing I want to do is actually sit down with Chris and interview him about some of his secrets on his style of permaculture farming that he does, and how he's been able to grow these large carrots with minimal inputs, as well as some of the more exotic and unique varieties that I just simply plain forgot the name of. So yeah, let's go head over and speak with Chris, the farmer here. All right, so now I'm with Coconut Chris, and he's the farmer that's basically made all this happen. So Chris, thanks for having me out on your farm today, man. Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you for coming. Honored to be on your channel.
Awesome, man, great. Yeah, you're a subscriber, right? You watch my videos sometimes, right?
Yeah, when I have computer time, there's still no electricity on the farm here, and so yeah, when I have time in town, I'll check out some of your videos.
Cool, man. I want to encourage you guys, to get away from the computer. I mean, Chris lives his life away from the computer, and yeah, he'll check the computer sometimes. But, our lives, in my opinion, are meant to be living outdoors, right? I mean, we got this advent of houses and computers and artificial lighting, but it's best to be out in nature, and that's what Chris has the joy to do every single day of his life, to be out in nature, walking amongst his plants, tending to his plants, taking care of his garden. And, I want you guys to appreciate and enjoy that and do that if you're not already. So Chris, why do you really enjoy working in your garden so much? I mean, I heard you earlier, I was filming, and he was just laughing in the background because he's just a kid at heart and loving his plants. Like we all should, but we have this disconnect from nature instead of being connected like Chris is.
Why? Well, I feel free to do as I please, and I like being outside and active, and it's pretty safe hobby, sport, I don't know. Anyway, but I also enjoy eating fresh fruits and vegetables, occasional nuts and seeds, and that's what keeps me feeling the best. Feel really healthy eating fresh fruits and vegetables, and I want to encourage the people that live around here, make it easier for them. They're busy working jobs, and it's kind of like a full-time thing to grow a garden, and so I figured that I'd just try doing that for a while. And it's been happening, I just got to kind of be there all the time and protect it from the wild pigs and horses and cows and turkeys and different critters that run around, and so yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, man, I want to encourage you guys out there, to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables in your diet. That's why I grow my garden. That's why I have friends like Chris who's growing his own stuff, so when I come visit, I'll be eating some good stuff too, right? Super important to eat your fruits and vegetables, and it's quite unfortunate that most Americans neglect eating fruits and vegetables, and especially the ones they're eating are, unfortunately substandard or poor quality. The ones you're getting from the grocery store, or even the ones labeled, organic. It's always better to grow your own because it always tastes better, and more than times than not, it's more nutritious. So Chris, why did you want to embark on this big project to grow all this food for the community as well as yourself?
Well, it seemed like the right thing to do. Yeah. And I've always loved growing plants and picking fruits and vegetables as a child growing up, so lots of good memories of that. And I also, heard from a child, we went to church a little bit when I was a kid, and the Bible, and it says to plant your fruit trees alongside tributaries, like streams. So this property, like many properties, have streams flowing through them, and that brings down, nutrients from the forest above, and that's like the best fertilizer for growing food, So I've been planting food along the stream and incorporating the patterns I've learned with nature in the flatter areas on the ridges, and just kind of creating streams with the water, flowing it through. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. It looks really cool too. I mean, you guys saw some of the different, patterns he had, basically to get his plants watered. So Chris, I want you to share one of the top tips with my viewers out there on how to have a successful garden and permaculture food forest like you do. What's one tip that you would recommend for everybody out there?
Find the patterns in nature, and every weed is compost and mulch for something else. Everything has a use, and just learn what grows well in your neighborhood, and maybe join community gardens or volunteer on a farm in your area and figure out what wild weeds and things will grow and microclimates, and get excited about all the different things that do grow where you are, because everywhere in the world pretty much you can grow a wide variety of plants. In this location I've been at for the past 13 years in this area, you can grow a lot of different things just in walking distance, almost everything.
Well, he's quite blessed here.
So I don't know. A tip would be.
That's a tip. Get to
use-
learn the patterns, you know,
Yeah.
and
I guess.
learn nature and learn what grows well in
And
yours.
to eat, be eating it too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
to be eating it because then it gets in your blood and helps you see more clearly.
Yeah, I mean, part of my gardener's intuition is not because I'm got green thumbs. I mean, wasn't born with green thumbs. I used to, you know, make many plants not live too long. Nowadays, I do pretty good. I'm sure as does Chris. But when you eat plants, you're more in touch. You know, whether you want to think this energetically or spiritually or it's frou-frou. Like, but I truly believe, you know, we are one with the plants because it's the plants and the fruits of this earth that are truly feeding us, either directly or unfortunately indirectly, you know, for many people. And I want to encourage you guys to have fruits and vegetables feed you directly instead of feeding you indirectly. And yeah, I mean, learning the patterns, super important. You know, nobody's ever shared that tip before, so thank you.
Okay.
You know, I try to get that across in my videos. Like, the longer you garden, the more you'll see, like, oh, when I do this, it happens like this, and it's successful. And when I do this, it doesn't work so well. And you know, when this plant was next to the stream or near a water source, oh my gosh, it produced so much. But when it was further away and didn't get enough water, it didn't do so well. And vice versa. So, you know, the only way you're going to learn patterns of nature is by getting out to nature, getting out in your garden, doing it, and getting experience and getting your hands dirty, or at least keeping them clean. Chris has got some more gardener hands than I do. He works a bit harder and longer hours in the garden than I do. Plus, I've got a special mixture of, like, I use like some sea salt, some sugar, and some oil to make a nice scrub, you know, that ladies use to scrub their face. I use it to scrub my hands, and it really gets all the dirt and grime out of all the funny places, man. And my nails are kind of grummy, but my skin's pretty clean. But I've been on vacation for the last week too.
Oh, I gotta get that recipe from you.
Yeah. All right, Chris. So tell me more about your fertility program, because I know, you know, one of the things that you're really into is, you know, trying to use the inputs of, you know, that's produced on your farm and in the surrounding area. You talked a little bit about, like, weeds are not a weed; they're, you know, food for other plants. And how are you able to grow all these great fruits and vegetables and crops, and like the carrot that I showed you guys? Well, that's a fairly large carrot, you know, without putting 10-10-10 Miracle Crop fertilizer, even using, like, you know, organic chicken pellets out of a bag and sprinkling those out on your garden, right? Without fertilizer, right? Is this possible? Well, he's doing it. How do you do it?
Well, I've done a lot of other things, and I just like to do things the easy way. I just want to be simple, but fortunately, there's easy to get cow patties in the area, free range cattle, and I can fill up feed bags. I get all my helpers. We go out and we shovel full of bags quick and drive them up the hill or over from the other side of the fence there even. Horse manure too, and the barn down in the valley has sandy loam, you know, rock dust, and they scoop that up, and I'll use some of that. But mostly this last year I've been like full-time cow patty and wild horse collecting. You get some weed seeds and whatever. I can cultivate the land and mulch it with lemongrass and vetiver or whatever mulches we got, and it keeps weeds from sprouting. And then to make sure all the, like, trace minerals, it's all pretty much washing down and floating in the top inch of the ocean. So if I can get seawater when I'm down at the ocean in 5-gallon buckets, and I dilute it like 1-15, 1-20 ratio, just for delicate plants. My coconut trees, I'll just pour a whole bucket of seawater on it. So certain plants can take certain ratios of it. And yeah, I've been also getting high quality sun-dried sea salt from the island here. And I just throw it by the handful. I just sprinkle it around. I got 5-gallon bucketfuls this past fall, and I've spread most all of it. And it's like 10-acre area, and mostly focused around like certain plants, not everything. But yeah, the vegetables just grow so healthy. If I'm getting like little cabbage moth caterpillars, I'll just, you know, throw salt and cucumbers, even things that get stung by bugs. It gives the plant an immune system. I'm not sure the whole science, but you can look it up on the internet. There's a lot of information about seawater agriculture if you research it. And so it's real easy.
Cool. I mean, yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend, like, growing in trace minerals, and Chris is doing that with a local source of the rock dust, you know, from the streams, as well as using, you know, the sea minerals from the ocean. And that's what I recommend for you guys, you know, like I don't necessarily source it and get the seawater like he does. You might want to also be sure if you are using seawater, make sure you don't get contaminated seawater. He lives in an area where it's really undeveloped and undisturbed by man, and there's not a lot of ships or like there's no sewage going in the ocean here. It's really clean, but like if you were to go to like San Francisco or somewhere, you know, and try to get ocean water, like I don't know about that. You might want to get a real good sea product. You know, like they got the Sea Agri, like C90 product, and there's like different products, you know, that comes in concentrates and jugs where they get, you know, clean seawater. And I do have videos on that already. And of course I have videos on the rock dust as well. So those are two primary sources for him. And another nutrient source for him is, you know, besides just all the weeds and things, he gets like tree trimmings and wood chips that he spreads on the property underneath trees to mulch with. And in addition, he also uses the manure. So let's talk about the manure for a sec. You know, now Chris has a very unique situation. Much like he get uncontaminated seawater, he gets uncontaminated manure, which is very important. You know, I'm not a big fan or an advocate of using, you know, manure in the garden for the primary reason that most of it is contaminated. You know, if you go buy manure at Home Depot, you know, it's from a factory farm that's been fed GMO corn and soy to the animals. They've also been fed antibiotics, and now all that stuff is in the poop that now you're buying to put on your vegetables that then you will in turn end up eating, which is not a good thing. So, you know, we're here in pasture land. You know, there's just cows free roaming and horses free roaming. They're eating the grass, you know, very little other feedstocks are being added. So they're producing good, clean manure. And if you could get a good, clean manure source, yeah, use it with moderation, you know, but still Chris does a lot of, you know, mulching and cutting down of weeds and composting his own stuff to make plenty of, you know, fertility on site as well. So yeah, so in my style gardening, where I don't have access to some of the manures, like pure manures like Chris does, and for most Americans that can't get this, I recommend, you know, maybe no manure or, you know, little manure approach. And that's why I recommend a lot of the things like the rock dust powders and, you know, the earthworm castings, so you could get away from the manures, you know, that may be contaminated. So Chris, I want to share with my viewers something that you're growing special here that I've never seen before in my life, and it's these guys here. What are these guys here, man? They look like some funky fruit.
It's a prehistoric variety of banana called fehi, and there's many shapes and varieties of these. I first collected these from some botanist friends living down in the valley, and I've been propagating them around. It's an unusual banana that the fruits stand up in the air instead of hanging down. And I just harvested about a 60-pound rack of fruit, and they have to be very ripe to eat them. So like this one isn't really black yet. It might be a little chalky. We'll give it another day or so. But this one here, you've seen how it's changed color?
Yeah, it's nice and black.
Look at the inside.
Oh my God. Look at that. I want to show you guys this. Look at that, like a little push up. Look at that. Man, that's like fluorescent yellow. That's insane. So tell us, this is a prehistoric banana. I'm eating a banana that would have been eaten by the dinosaurs in the prehistoric time.
I think that's what I've read up on them. Yeah, and you can, you know, look them up, and it's. I've been spending most of my time just growing them than reading about them, but I did do a little research on it, and yeah, it's one of the oldest types of banana. When you cut the trunk and the sap comes out, it's actually purple, like blood.
Wow.
The color, natural coloring dye, and you actually, when you eat these, you'll see your urine changes to this color. So it's hard to describe the flavor of a perfect ripe fehi banana. I was hoping maybe you could help me.
All right, well, let me see. Wow. I mean, like, this is like a true heirloom banana. I mean, it's not even like heirloom because it's prehistoric. This is like wild, wild style, wild kind banana. And we really need to get back to some of these undomesticated, unhybridized fruits, in my opinion, because these are the fruits, like, at some point they've bred all this nice, yellow, rich antioxidant pigments out of this fruit. and I'm so glad to be eating this stuff. And it tastes like no other banana that I've ever tasted in my life. Like, look at that. It's almost like a banana sweet potato. Like, it's like really rich and creamy. It's like if you had banana pudding and then you have like a nice banana flavor with like floral overtones. Wow. I mean, these are some of the things that Chris grows, like heirlooms, unique, rare varieties. How many different kinds of bananas are you growing right now, Chris?
I've grown about 50 types in the area, but there's about 20, 25 that I really love. Plantains and dwarf variety bananas. So I'm sure there's about 25 types just in this little garden plot here.
Well, yeah, I mean, you guys saw some of them earlier. They looked really great. All right, yeah, there's these Fahey bananas. You gotta look them up and try to grow these guys if you live in the tropics somewhere. They're simply amazing. Oh wow, look at that one. So that one's probably like not quite as ripe as this one, so it's gonna be a bit chalky.
Yeah,
and needs to be
it got
totally
damaged too. The bottom might be a little overripe. So yeah, sometimes I gotta be careful before you eat it.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's all organic here, so you know there might be bugs crawling in there. So you know, I always encourage you guys to inspect your produce before you eat it.
I want to see this under a black light.
Oh yeah, that'd be a trip, man. Be fluorescent. Wait, I know you could smear this on you and then go into one of those parties like raves where they have the black light and you could have
Edible body paint.
edible body paint. Yeah. Oh, my girlfriend will lick this off me anyway. All right. So Chris, any last words you'd like to share with my viewers today about your farm and how you're growing, or any words to the wise for growers out there that want to be able to be more efficient at doing what they're doing and create for themselves what you've created for yourself as well as a community here?
Yeah, maybe just learn all about what's native to your area and how people use those native plants to improve their livelihoods, and then figure out what is from all over the world that you could grow and very delicious and edible, and see what people are growing. Like maybe join the Rare Fruit Grower Club and go to potlucks and meet other people that garden, and join a community garden if you don't have a whole lot of space of your own, or just go see what people are growing. Go to botanical gardens and just get around like-minded people that are doing this kind of thing, and just see and make observations and do research and watch more of your videos.
Thanks.
And maybe volunteer on a farm and get hands-on experience with farmers.
Cool. So I know, speaking of volunteers, I know you get interns that are serious about learning how to grow in the way that you do, and learn that. And there is a commitment involved. It's not just like volunteering for a day. He wants more of a long-term commitment. How can somebody contact you if they're maybe interested in learning more about this opportunity to learn from Chris, the master permaculturist himself?
Really? Okay, thanks. Is that right? Well, yeah, I was on the Woofer platform for a while, but it's just I don't have electricity here, and I've never even owned a computer. It's kind of challenging and distracting, But I'd like, if people were really wanting to eat from the land, and or maybe even had some experience already growing plants and picking food, and maybe they could just email me and talk story, and maybe they would want to come out and stay for a while and camp or be in a cabin, participate in all of our accomplishments, and it's a great neighborhood to be in. And so feel free to write me. I have an email. It's chriscoconut@gmail.com. That's CHRIS and coconut@gmail. So.
All right, cool. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, reach out to Chris if you're sincerely interested, have some experience, or already on a plant-based diet and would love picking and eating some of the best foods that I've tasted here on Big Island, and definitely more varieties than I've seen anywhere, with some unique and exotic things that literally nobody else is growing, so that's really cool. Chris is an awesome guy, and I love every visit that I come out to visit him. So thanks, Chris, for having me out today, man, brother.
Yeah, thank you for
Appreciate
coming.
it, man. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and yeah, you're gonna hope you enjoy the video because he's been listening to me film it, but he doesn't know what's in it.
Yeah, you see I all over the place. Well, I hear him over there.
But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed it, hey, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know. I'll try to make it out to Chris's next time. And you know, I covered 1/10 of 1% of what he has growing on here. There's no way I could cover everything in the video that's already too long that people complain about already. But we could come back and show you other stuff about other things that you guys are interested in. And every time I always learn something new, and hopefully you guys did too. Also, be sure to check my past episodes. Over 1,050 episodes now on all aspects of gardening. And be sure to subscribe to my videos if you're not already, because I put out new videos every couple days to you know, teach you guys more about different kinds of gardening, growing nutrient-dense foods, growing foods at home, eating the foods that you grow so you can be healthier because of it, and in turn make the world a healthier place, one person at a time. So once again, my name is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. We'll see you next time. Until then, remember, keep on growing. All right, this is John Kohler with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. I'm still on vacation in Hawaii, on the Big Island here, and I'm here in the sea view. It's like the far corner of the Puna district. Actually, this is one of the least expensive areas of the island to live because it's really out in the middle of nowhere practically.